Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from Throwaway6278. Would I be the beehole if I refused to give my fiance money ever again? My fiance and I have two kids. We agreed that I'd stay home and care for them until they both go off to school. He'd pay all the bills and such, since it'd be a lot cheaper for me to stay home versus sending our disabled child to daycare. I received some money for Xmas from my dad that he told me to spend on myself and the kids. Fiance found out about this money and asked to borrow it. I told him I didn't really want to. Since we needed diapers and wipes and other stuff for our kids, I planned on buying those with the money my dad gave me. My mom ended up buying them as a late gift. Fiance decided to write out a contract that stated he legally had to pay me back in 2 weeks. I added in that if he couldn't pay back by his deadline, that he'd owe me an additional $100, and he agreed to that. He signed the contract and marked it with a thumbprint and everything. The first deadline was on the 13th, this month. He paid me $5 back out of the $125 he owed me by then. The second deadline is the 31st. He is now telling me he just can't pay it back, and is saying that partners don't do this. They're supposed to help each other out, etc., etc. I told him it was his idea for the contract, and that he agreed to both terms. It's even on video of him signing it, by the way. My thing is, I wouldn't be so pressed about him paying it back if the day I lent him the money, he didn't decide to buy $60 worth of weed instead of paying his car note like he said he would. He's saying I should be more than glad to help my partner out who's struggling, which I would be if he wouldn't spend his bill money on weed and the lottery. So I told him either he can pay back the full amount of $225 that he agreed to paying me, or he will get absolutely nothing from me anymore. I have zero income. The money I get is gifted to me by family or on the rare occasion from him. I've been trying to find a work from home job, but I haven't found one I qualify for yet. And since he doesn't work a regular job, I can't just work off his hours since he doesn't have a set schedule. Some days he works mornings, some days he works night, and he doesn't know when until the day or the day before. Am I the beehole here? Edit. This got a lot more comments than I anticipated, and I'm still trying to read through them all. I saw a lot of questions, so I wanted to make an edit to answer as many as I can, instead of repeating myself a million times in replies. When he and I first got together, he was doing a lot better financially. He wasn't spending his money on weed nearly as much as he is now. He's actually providing at first, even when we had our first kid 4 years ago. He's still pretty good. We planned on stopping at one kid until our oldest was much older, so I'd gotten on birth control not long after having our oldest. My birth control ended up failing, and I found out that I was pregnant too late to do anything about it. At the time, things were still doing a lot better than they are now, so I figured things would stay good after having our second. When I was still pregnant with my youngest, our oldest became disabled. She suffered a terrible fall that drastically changed everything for us. She's been in and out of the hospital more times than I can even count. It was a sudden and unexpected. She was already receiving Medicaid, so medical bills weren't and aren't an issue, thankfully, but her disability has taken its toll on everyone. When he asked to borrow the 125, I told him no at first, but he kept insisting that he'd lose his car if he didn't make the car payment. It wasn't until he answered a FaceTime call from his dealer, with me sitting next to him, that I found out that he used 60 of the 125 to buy weed. I saw someone say I smoke too in the comments. I don't. I tried weed once when I was like 20 and hated it. I told my fiance that I was okay with him smoking as long as it didn't interfere with necessities, even before having kids with him. He seemed to be on board with that for years, and then it's like a switch flipped. I still don't mind him smoking, but as long as our family's needs are met first. I also saw some people suggesting doing Uber Eats and stuff like that. I definitely would, but we are a one-car family and he's always had the car when he works. Otherwise, be out there doing deliveries. I have also applied for disability for my oldest, but the process is still ongoing, so we still haven't received payment yet. I do try to do surveys to make a little extra money every chance I get, but I'm going to look into work from home suggestions from some of y'all and try to get one ASAP. I do receive WIC and EBT, So I buy most of the food. He buys anything extra and pays the rest of the bills, or rather, he's supposed to. He doesn't tell me much about his finances. So I don't know exactly how much money he has coming in and how much the bills are. When I ask him, he gets pretty angry, so I just drop the subject. A lot of people also suggested I should just leave him. I know that's probably for the better, but it's hard when you still love someone. He was a great partner for years before we had our first, and was a great father for a while after our having our first. I don't want to just throw it all away. I hope I explained things a little better. OP, you are not the beehole. Sounds like your husband's the beehole. Which sucks, because, man, he was good back in the day, which, it's gotta hurt more since you knew what he can be and what he's doing now. And yeah, when it comes to weed, I don't smoke. I'm fine with people if they do smoke. But yeah, you can't spend, if you're spending so much money, if you're hurting for money and you're spending it on weed, you can't do that because weed isn't a necessity. He's not, you know what I mean? He's not in pain or anything like that where he'd require that for easing the pain. He's doing it as recreation, and that's stuff you got to give up when you're not doing well financially. I'm definitely going to say you're not the beehole because when they gave you money, you didn't decide to spend it on yourself. You went and decided to spend it on your children, which is what I was going to say you should do, which you did. So yeah, you're not the beehole. I don't know about the leaving him. Usually I'm pretty quick to say leave him, but it doesn't, you know what I mean? I get it. He put a lot, he can be good. He can be a good father. He can be a good husband. So I can see why you're not in a hurry to leave him. It doesn't sound like he's, getting physical with you or anything like that. So try to, I can see why you try to make it work. I'm not sure what to do on that part. I'm torn. Yeah, but that would piss me off too if he says he needs that money to pay to keep his car going, to keep his car, and he's over there wasting it on weed. So you're not the beehole, he's the beehole. I'm not sure what to do in this situation because I can see it. I can see why you don't want to give up and divorce and all that. But yeah, not the beehole. And our next one comes from Auntie Chunkster. Am I the beehole for making my friend's cat lose weight while she's in my care? My friend's cat Juno has always been massive, well beyond the level of a usual, oh, that's a kind of fat. She was an absolute tank, and she's not even a large breed, just a standard regular cat. Whenever someone would point out that she was bigger than she should be, my friend would get annoyed and insist she's just that way and is perfectly healthy. My friend started a global mobility assignment at her job that involved living in Europe for a year, and she asked me if I would take care of Juno while she was gone, which I agreed to. She walked me through all the cat care matters before she left and told me that Juno was free-fed, and I just need to keep her feeder topped off and that she could access dry food anytime. The feeder wasn't on a timer. It was just a bottle that dispensed food with gravity whenever the tray got empty. I told her that I really wasn't comfortable letting her have constant access to food at her weight. She said, I'm paraphrasing here, look, she is my cat, and you don't get to make that call. Either you tell me you're going to stick to the plan, or tell me you won't, and I'll find someone else. I agreed, but admittedly, I wondered if I'd be able to follow through on my word for a whole year. I lasted maybe a week. Having Juno around all day made it extremely clear how much she was suffering because of her weight. She struggled to even hop up on my couch. I took the feeder away and started feeding her one cat of wet food in the morning, one cat in the evening, and I work from home, so the adjustment period of constant yowling for food was an absolute nightmare. But it worked. She is now 14 pounds lighter after 8-ish months on the my way or the highway diet, and it's much more energetic and mobile. Even her breathing sounds better. My friend has started to notice the weight loss in the photos, and I've been sending her is extremely upset. I went behind her back after I agreed to the free feeding. She demanded that I go back to the old way. I said honestly, I am sorry, but I really don't think I could bring myself to do that. I was like, when she's back with you, that's what you're going to do and do what you will. But while she's under my roof, I can't just let her gorge herself on food all day, when it's clear that she can eat normally and lose weight. That would be neglect. My friend called around to see if any of their friends or family would take her for the remaining 4-ish months, but no one could, would/wanted to. She was extremely upset with me, and says when she gets back in the US, she's taking her cat back, and this friendship is over. It hurts, but I accept it. I know when I went back on my word, it must have felt very bad for my friend to be across the world with this situation totally out of her hands. But I don't know if I could bring myself around to thinking that I actually did something morally wrong. I welcome any and all feedback. Lay it on me. Okay, OP, I'll do just that. I will lay it on you. You are not the beehole. Your friend is the beehole. God, she's something else. Ghoul? Maybe ghoul, because she is harming her animal, and I love animals and despise people who do things to hurt them. And this, yeah, this is a form of abuse. She's overfeeding the cat, and he's gonna, leave this world because his friggin' heart gives out. And I'm not even blaming her for well, at first I wasn't blaming her for getting the cat fat because, well, animals are cute, and when they beg for food, you want to feed them because they're cute and you want to make them happy. That's what was happening with my dog. It was getting to the point where she couldn't, stand on her legs, and I went, okay, oh no, I need you to be alive until you're like 47 because if I lose this dog, I'm gonna lose my mind because I love her too damn much. But yeah, so I did what OP did. I cut down on the food. And when I feed my dog, I feed him food I cook. I don't do out of a can or anything like that because I don't trust that nonsense. I think that's just enough to keep the animal alive, but not keep them happy. So, I cut back on her food, and now she's slimming down, and she's running. We're in the woods. She's hopping over. Like, I saw her hop over a pond. I have never seen that dog jump until she lost that weight. So yeah, OP, I get where you're coming from, and it is painful to watch an animal suffer, especially when it's a pretty easy fix. Just, give them less food. So I'm going to say you're not even a good person. You're a fantastic person for trying to help this poor cat. And your friend, I don't know what her deal is. Is she one of those weirdos who just like, oh, I like fat animals. It's fine. Who cares what you like? That is a living, breathing creature. You want to do, a good owner would do everything they could to keep that animal healthy. Jeez, man. Yeah, she's a ghoul. I'm gonna call her a ghoul. That's ghoul stuff. She's harming a cat. She's telling you when she comes back, your friendship's over because you were being nice to her cat and helping it stay alive longer, and that she's going to take the cat back and start mistreating it again. I don't know who you can report this to, but I would look into reporting it because this is harming an animal. This one was bugging me so much I looked in the comments. We got Spotties27, not the be-all, but I'd rethink this friendship. Do you really want to be friends with someone who would let their own cat suffer that way? I agree with you. That's not someone I'd want to be friends with. Personally, I don't like people who harm animals. That's fine if you don't like animals. Funnily enough, this character I'm using, I made for the YouTube channel, is a cat. It was between cat, dog, or rabbit. But I'm not a cat person. I think they're cute, and if you got a cat, I'll pet it, but I have to wash my hands immediately because it's going to start stealing my eyes shut. But, I grew up with dogs. I'm a dog person, but I don't want to see a cat suffer. So, And then the next comment comes from Beck 2010, not the beehole. Your friend is basically using that poor kitty. She's shortening the cat's lifespan while also putting her at risk of heart disease, different cancers, joint pain, etc. Oh yeah, I forgot about the joint pain. Yeah, animals suffer from joint pain to the point where they can't walk. That's kind of happened to my dog until I slimmed her down. Is your friend simply lazy? I have two dogs that are fed thrice daily with limited treats. Feeding an animal is a basic responsibility and easy to do. She doesn't deserve to have that cat. Well said. I hope someone can take away that cat from her because that cat's not going to make it too long the way she's been handling it. Again, OP, you are not the beehole. Oh, and our next one is a cat story. Another cat story. It comes from LieOK9288. Am I the beehole for telling my sister I love my cats more than my niece? Oh no, man. I hope this one isn't a catastrophe. I'm sorry, but I'm a cat. I gotta throw those out every once in a while, right? I, a 28-year-old female, live about 4 hours away from my sister, a 26-year-old female. She gave birth to my niece 4 weeks ago, and I haven't been able to visit yet due to my work schedule. She really wanted me to meet the baby, so she offered to come by and stay the weekend at my place so I could spend time with them. I was very excited and asked if I needed to baby-proof anything or buy things she would need while she stayed. She told me that for the weekend, I would have to find somewhere else for my two cats to stay, since she didn't want them around her baby and was afraid they would try to climb in her crib and hurt her. I didn't want to do this since my cats are seniors, 18 years old, oh wow, and wouldn't take well to change no matter how short. I told her that since they're old, they would have no energy and interest in a newborn. Plus, they sleep with me every night, and I can just keep the door closed. She didn't respond well to this and told me that if I really love my niece, I would do anything I could to protect her. I was getting frustrated, and at this point, I told her that I love my cats more, and that I'm not going to stress them out so I can meet my niece for a weekend. She hung up on me and is not responding to my calls. She got our mother involved, and she's taking my sister's side, and she said I went too far, and how could I love my cats more than my own niece? I admit that I could have responded better or kinder. I was just frustrated that she wasn't even trying to find a middle ground where we could both be happy. Hi, OP. This one's relatable to me, but first I'm gonna say you're kind of a beehole, not a big one, because of that part where you said you love them more than your niece and all that, and I get it. I'm like that too with my dogs and some people, but I'm not gonna say it out loud. But I get it. She was getting on your nerves and you popped. But yeah, no one's gonna come to my house and tell me to put my dogs out for 2, 3 days, whatever. The best you'll get from me is I'll put them in a room. I've had family members come over who are afraid of dogs, and I have two. Both won't do anything. Both are nice dogs, but one does not understand personal space. Like, she will get up in your personal space. And then I have the other one who's very chill, who just likes to sleep and eat. She's the one I have to, monitor her food intake. The other one's super in shape. But I won't put the little lazy one in the room because she doesn't do anything. She doesn't move unless there's food. If there's food, she'll scuttle over and try to eat. You gotta tell her no. But she's been a great way to get people who are afraid of animals to not be afraid because, like I said, she won't do anything. You could dress her up, do anything, and she won't do anything. I'm sorry, I kind of wandered off. But the best you'll get from me is, yeah, I'll put them in a room and lock the door while you're visiting, or I'll put them out in the backyard for a little bit, while you're visiting. But no, I'm not going to send my animals away because you want to come visit. So I completely get where you're coming from, OP. So I'll say you're not the beehole because of that, because yeah, I can relate. But I'm saying you're a little bit of a beehole because of how you said it to her. So kinda the beehole, kinda not. But yeah. Anyway, OP, don't send your cats. They're 18. Wow, that's impressive. The longest I've had an animal was a dog until she was 16, and that dog was crazy. I had to chase her down the street at 7 a.m. to get her because she was an escape artist. But again, I warned it off. OP, kind of the beehole, but kind of not. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.